So the first time we broke up, I had no boundaries. I felt guilty for breaking up with him and I didn't want to upset him more. But as I said in part 1, I couldn't ride the roller coaster anymore. I was mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted. But because I had no boundaries, he was able to hoover me back. So when I made the decision to end it for good, I knew that I needed to not just set boundaries, but set tight, rigid boundaries. And 4 years of lived experience told me that he really hated boundaries. I really had to prepare myself for the lowest and dirtiest behavior possible. I knew nothing was off limits. If you're new to my page, my name is Jackie and I'm giving real examples of emotional abuse tactics so that you can spot them in your relationships. We broke up because he caught me in a lie. And the lie was that I told him I did not read a text message. Well, I know that it was wrong and I did take full accountability. I lied because I knew my answer, that I intentionally chose to not respond right away, would cause him to fall into an anxious spiral, and I just didn't want to experience that. So in the moment, I panicked and I lied. Now, the only reason he caught me in a lie was because he went into my phone without my permission and turned on my read receipts. Now, after a week of being berated every single day, being called the most horrible names, calling and hanging up, refusing to listen to my side, but continuing to tell me that I wasn't taking accountability and I could never be trusted, that I would need to prove my love and my commitment, spewing absolute vitriol at me, I finally said I was done. I accepted it at first because I did lie. For a week, I was patient and I was kind and I took accountability, but the verbal and emotional beating wasn't ending. So I decided to no longer accept it. I wasn't going to accept verbal, emotional, or psychological abuse because he was unable to step outside of his emotions. This was simply a reflection of our entire relationship. His feelings, his needs, his perception drove all of his behavior. I knew this wasn't going to change, and because of that, I would never feel safe to share my thoughts and feelings. So I ended the relationship. Now, because last time he dragged out the moving process and didn't return my house key, I knew I needed to set boundaries around the amount of time he had to move and to remove his access from my house. So I told him he had 1 week to get things out of the house and then I was changing the locks, and he had 3 weeks to empty the garage. I also set a boundary that I wouldn't respond to any messages where I felt blamed, criticized, bullied, manipulated in any way, which meant a lot of his text messages would not be responded to. The moment I set these boundaries, he shifted into the world's biggest victim. Why are you treating me like this? What did I do to deserve this? You're the liar who sabotaged our relationship. Why am I being treated like garbage? All of this is playing the victim and emotional manipulation. Because he no longer had control, he started pressuring me to make decisions I wasn't ready to make. He would spew these unreasonable demands. We need to sell the house. You need to sign an agreement. Are you going to agree to these terms? Yes or no? It was as though his generosity was on a timeline, and if I didn't comply right now, his kindness would be revoked and things would get way worse. These are threats and intimidation, which is abuse. So when I didn't allow him to intimidate me, he got super petty. He ransacked the house. He took food from the fridge, household items that were actually mine. He took pictures I printed out of frames and hung those empty frames back on the wall. He left family Christmas ornaments in plain view on the table for me to see. These were all intentional acts to emotionally manipulate. He was texting me every day, flipping back and forth from messages of hate to messages of love. He was weaponizing therapy, throwing my past in my face and saying things like, for someone who's been to therapy for so long, you sure are fucked up. You're running away from your problems instead of facing them. You're self-sabotaging. All of this is gaslighting, by the way. He was watching my house. When I spent the weekend at my parents', he asked me who I was fucking. This was all projection because he was already on dating apps. I understand that all of this behavior is because he had a fragile ego, and by me rejecting him, it bruised his ego even more. But someone commented in part 1 that this is normal breakup behavior. Just because this behavior is normalized, it does not make it normal or healthy. It's manipulative and it's abusive. It is done intentionally to either change your decision of ending the relationship or to punish you because you ended the relationship. This is not the behavior of somebody who genuinely loves you. Emotionally healthy people do not behave this way.